Hey guys, I'm Phil Town from Rule One Investing, and today I'm going to discuss the power of mindfulness when it comes to investing. Super powerful something there. So what's going to happen next with the market? Nobody knows. It's all crazy right now. It's really exciting. If you're a good investor, you're in shape for this and you're ready to rock and roll. You got your bucket out, waiting for the rain to get really heavy downpour, pick up that gold and off you go. So for the next 10 years, you're going to rock and roll. What we do know is it's going to be turbulent, and turbulence in the market, the ups and downs of the market can be very, very emotionally upsetting, even if you're a good investor. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you guys, you probably know the best method to make long-term gains in the market. You do your research, you're going to be getting companies you understand, you fit the Rule 1 criteria, you buy it on sale. It's a pretty simple concept. Simple isn't easy. We always say that, but simple is simple. It's not like you got to have a 180 IQ or something. So, the question would be, well, why doesn't everybody just do it? What's the problem? And the answer for most people is they don't have that ability to stay rational, like deeply rational, when the fit hits the shan, right? And when things get really chaotic, it's really easy to get caught up in it if you're not a person that can stay centered, stay rational, right? So I think more than ever right now, you kind of need to understand what's the right mindset in trying to invest. What do you kind of need to understand? That's not an investing practice so much, in terms of the actual skill set of investing, but the actual skill set of being present and deeply connected to right where you are that can make you a better investor. I think that's the thing I want to talk about right now. So let's get down into this. A lot of people call this thing, that I'm talking about, basically they call it mindfulness, okay? And mindfulness essentially is, in my view, and there's a lot of different definitions of it, but in my view, mindfulness is a practice where you, at the best of it, right? When you really are fully mindful, you are fully present in the right now. You are not caught up in the future, although it's all part of the now. You're not tied up with what's happened in the past, although that's certainly part of what's going on right now as well. But you're centered. That's the way we used to talk about it back in the old river guide days, is you're centered. And I spent a lot of time going over to India back in the 70s and digging deep into learning to meditate, learning to do different techniques that help you get mindful. And one of the things that really set me off rolling was a book by a guy who just recently died named Ram Dass, who was a PhD student with Tim Leary at Harvard and got all into acid, LSD things back in the 60s, and then went over to India and gave this guru a bunch of LSD just to kind of see what would happen. And the guy took it knowing what it was, and nothing happened to him. And this guy decided he was going to become a disciple. He became a disciple of this well-known guru in India and changed his name to Ram Dass, and spent his life basically talking about mindfulness and practicing mindfulness. So this is something that, a lot of people in my generation read his book, Be Here Now, which really was an attempt to explain mindfulness to the average person. And not only what it was, but what it would do for you. So let me explain a little bit about what it does for you as an investor. Let me start with just as a human, right? So the idea of being centered, being balanced in your mind, the idea of being fully aware of what's in your world right there, is kind of the idea of consciousness. If I can think about it for a second, consciousness is just awareness, all right? Just being aware. And you know how consciousness can change. If you stay up, I don't know if you ever did this when you're trying to study hard for something, just stay up 3 or 4 nights in a row, get something done, you'll find that your awareness gets really messy. It gets foggy because of fatigue. So we know that mindfulness or awareness or consciousness is directly connected to your nervous system in some kind of way. You fatigue your nervous system and stress it all out, you're gonna be less aware of what's going on. In fact, if you continue to stress it out and not sleep, you get so mentally unaware, you start to hallucinate. And if you keep going long enough, you can die. So awareness is deeply influenced by how you're rested, how your body is functioning, and vice versa. How your body is functioning is deeply impacted by this sense of consciousness, right? So let's take an example. You've got red glasses on. Okay, you're looking out through these red lenses, and how do you see the world? Well, you see it red. There's no other way to see it. You can't pretend you see it blue or you see it in its normal colors, because you're looking through this lens. And that's the idea of consciousness. You're looking through the lens of consciousness or awareness to see the world a certain way. And what we want to see the world is how it really is. That's what we call rational. So being rational, sometimes we think about being rational as, very mathematical. 2 + 2 is 4. Well, being rational really is just the opposite of being irrational. Being irrational is essentially seeing the world as it is not, right? So somebody that's really irrational, they're Looney Tunes, and we have to take them down to get them help, because they're not functioning in the real world. And boy, you want to read a wild book about that was so good back in the 70s called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, about a guy who got into a state of, just a real state. Anyway, I won't get all into it. Good book. Robert Pirsig. It's one of those books that got me on the path to meditation back then, and maybe it'll help you too. So the idea is that you're looking through a certain colored lens. That's you. That's your consciousness that you've got. You're born with it. You developed it. You stressed it out. You took drugs. You didn't take drugs. You worked out. You didn't work out. You stayed up too late. You watch too much TV. You go to bed early, and you're a vegan. I mean, whatever it is that you're doing to your nervous system is affecting the colored lenses that you have on. And this is why people do practices to become more mindful, because they're trying to alter in a very healthy way how their body's functioning to create that state of rationality, of reality, of being able to be just centered in this place where what's going on is appropriate, it's right, it's absolutely, the best you can do, and everything is good from that point, is this sort of ultimate kind of mindfulness or ultimate consciousness. And going to get to that place is a process of steps or a practice. I know my daughter Danielle we wrote this book, Invested, and part of what came out of that book was that the practice of investing can be mindful. She was really good about that. And if you want to go dig more into that, she's all into it. You can go look her up, Danielle Town, and go to her website. So a mindful practice of investing, or turning investing into a practice where you are doing it like you would a meditation, or you're doing it like you would a yoga practice, if that helps you think about it in a little different way, where if you're meditating or you're doing yoga, you're not trying to be the yoga teacher or the guy that's walking on water. You're trying to be you as best you can be right there with that practice as well as you can do it there. And the idea is not to get after yourself for not being better at it or doing it badly. The idea is to be there with yourself in a patient kind of way and just understand that's where you are. That's the color of the glasses you've got on. Now, as an investor, that's incredibly important. I think what Charlie Munger said that I love so much, he and Warren, Charlie said, are really good at something, and that is they're really good at knowing what they don't know. Knowing what you don't know is very rational. It's very mindful, if you will, to be aware of right where you are. What is it that you are capable of right there, and being centered about that? And so if you start to practice mindfulness as an investor, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'm not Warren Buffett, right? I'm not some yoga master that can tie his feet in knots. I'm not somebody walking on water, all right? I'm just me. And I am going to practice this as best I can right where I am. And that's so fundamental to a good rule number one practice of investing. It's so fundamental to it that you start right where you are, and you build from there slowly, just not in a rush, and understanding that right where you are is perfectly good, that there will be wonderful businesses that you will be able to invest in. You don't have to invest in 3,000 businesses. You have to invest in one good one, and then another good one once you've learned a little more about that first one. So use this idea of mindfulness, you guys, as a way of thinking about investing, thinking about being more rational, having the right mindset to invest is super, super important in order to just stay calm while everybody else is losing it. When the market's tumbling, when something you own is going down 50%, you're just sitting there understanding what to do next in a calm, quiet way. And we start that right where we are with the first investments we do. We just make sure they're really good ones, or we don't do them at all. So you guys, there's a lot more to learn about this, but probably the best thing to do right now is to just start to practice right where you are. And I tell you, my favorite thing to start mindfulness practice, I got from Wahei Takeda, who's considered the Warren Buffett of Japan, who told me in a wonderful meeting that we had that the idea of gratitude gave him that rationality, that he was able to stay comfortably centered just by practicing gratitude over and over and over again every day, saying 1,000 times something to be grateful for in his day, brought him back to the center, gave him that confidence, gave him that focus, and let him move forward in a chaotic world of Japan back in the 1950s under martial law. So if it worked for this guy way back then, it's going to work for you guys. I think it's a fabulous way to start that practice. Guys, now I want to hear from you. What can you practice today to help you be in the right mindset to invest? What can you do right now? So leave a comment below with your answer, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. And thanks for watching, you guys. Now go play. Well, you guys, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was, valuable in teaching you more about how to get in the right mindset, how to get mindful about investing, hit the like button for me, and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, just subscribe to my channel. We've got a lot of great stuff there on the YouTube channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen for a free gift. So thanks again for watching.